Hello YouTube, we picked up the water pump today. They had everything in stock we needed. We need a lower radiator hose, the little bypass hose I showed in the video. It comes off the thermostat housing, power steering belt, and the alternator belt. They had everything in stock. Boy, what did I pay for antifreeze? 50/50 antifreeze was like, I got all this at an O'Reilly store. Antifreeze like $12 a gallon, 50/50 mix, because it's better than mixing it with city water. You know what that's like. You gotta watch it, what water you mix with antifreeze. That's what causes most corrosion and stuff, is old well water and nasty city water. So we just buy the 50/50 stuff. But we're just checking out the gasket here. We got a little piece of paper here we figured out. I bought for around $3 a Fel-Pro gasket, okay? It is 45 thousandths thick, okay? Now the one that comes in the box is 27 thousandths thick. That means this one's 18 thousandths thicker. Now which one would you want to put on? This is how it comes out of the box. Right out of the plastic. Man, I took it out of the plastic bag and it was this bent. You know, would you want this little thing? Or would you want this gasket? I'm sure you can tell on camera which one's thicker. I'm going with this. Okay. One thing I wanted to point out. Where this pump was leaked, the other pump is not bad. It was just leaking out of the gasket. Down on the bottom on the titanium chain cover, okay, there's a recessed area in that cover where I showed all, where you seen all that corrosion. You watched the video. There's a little notch down here, okay? It would be down in here somewhere towards the bottom. Okay, here's where your water seals, around these ports. What happened is the gasket fell, the water leaked in here, and then eventually it came out because there's a little bitty groove there. Well, I think that might have been plugged up for quite a few years because there was a lot of corrosion there. You can tell with the pictures, there was a lot of nasty stuff in there and rust. So it had leaked off of one of these ports. I can't tell you right now which one till we bring the old pump up here. Eventually it worked its way out. In the middle of the winter it started pouring out of there. When I moved the truck, I let it run for probably 15-20 minutes, then another so many minutes when I got it on the ramp. So it probably run for a half hour, plus it was a little low on antifreeze. It was hissing out of there because we were building up pressure. You know, less water makes more steam, so it was really pumping out of there. I mean, it was hissing. You could hear it. You could hear it and see it spraying out, hitting down on the crankshaft, on the harmonic balancer, on the pulleys. So that's where it failed at. Okay, we'll get these out of the way. We'll pause. We'll bring the old one up here and show you all the corrosion and stuff. Okay, we have wiped this off because we put it in a couple shopping bags, put it in the back of the wife's car. We wasn't going to get her car messy. But it was leaking down in here. And you can almost tell that's just where that groove is. In the aluminum, it is a raised area, and that aluminum, there's a notch in there. So you can almost tell where it is. That's on the market right there, okay? Here's where all the leak was. So it leaked for a long time coming out of here. Now, I've had this off probably 15 years ago. I'd put a cam in that truck, the Edelbrock Reformer cam, to give it more torque. Because the factory cam and lifters were shot. They were all rattly and everything, so I did the motor good by putting a better camshaft in it. So this had a new Fel-Pro gasket put on it. I cannot tell you what sealer we used. We're going to use a Permatex brush-on type, not a shellac type. It is thicker than shellac. It is gooey brown brush-on. We'll show it when we install the pump. And we're going to put the gasket on the timing chain cover, then fit this up against there. So no fidgeting. So imagine trying to glue this thing down, right? See how warped it is? Or trying to glue this down nice and flat. Here, let me show you. It lays flat on the table. Pretty darn flat there. I've always used these gaskets for years on cars if I was going to redo something. So, there you go on that. Okay, another thing we did, another tip, is we're on this kitchen table here, which is pretty darn flat. It's not a surface plate or something. It's kind of a big name for what machinists use. A granite surface plate or something like that. But we measured each one of these. It's like, say the Boss is right here. We had our square. We had another square going like this direction. You kind of get what I mean. Maybe bring the ruler over here. So we was measuring like off the bottom of here. Okay, I think you can see that. Or whatever way you can do it. You could lay a ruler across there, like this. We measured every one of these. There's a Sharpie marker on here. I don't know if you can see it on the film here, or on the camera. I think I'm in the old days of the film. Every one of these was checked to make sure it's exactly the same height. Because there's nothing worse than putting this all the way on there and find out one of these is too tall. I had an engine one time where one of these was too tall, but it was where there was no thread, had a hole. So I just ground it off with a grinder, and so the bracket would set down flush. Because I had a problem with it. It was set like this. Probably the power steering even. Could have actually been, let's see. Boy, it's hard to tell you which way is what now. Which way's top, which way's bottom. This is the top. That'd be the alternator, your two heater hoses. It could have been something over here. Or it could have been the alternator. One of the two, one of these was off and it was setting lopsided. It's just the way they made it. This is a factory one. There's the Fomoco logo. Did I say logo? I ain't got time to edit. We're not no professional. Here is the one. Give you a real quick view of that. Here's factory. This pump is good, but I did wiggle the shaft when it was on the motor. There was play in there, in and out. It's kind of hard to tell by turning that. And here's the new one. So there is difference how it's cast and made, but all this came out exact. All those measurements are the same distance on the holes, if I measure right. They put that on there and that's protective. Measure that. Always measure this. Make sure your fan blade spacer will fit. And mine has a pretty good long spacer. Getting off of view here. Make sure you measure that. Same bolt threads. Just the basic stuff you should do. Like I said, this is the bottom. Your hose is coming over here. So, it sets on there probably about like something like that. Because I don't know if these are exactly in line. These I'm sure goes to the air conditioner. Don't quote me. I took pictures of this deal, so if I mess up, I can go back and look at the pictures. Remember this bolt down here? Had all the bolts out. Why won't the pump come out? Oh, there's one down here. Because you're looking at it like this. You know, and I got looking around. Oh, I left one bolt. There is approximately 4 bolts. 6 bolts that'll hold this on before you put the brackets on. So you can get 6 bolts in here before you put the brackets on. And you're going to have to tighten some of these because, like, say the alternator over here, you're going to have to tighten this one before you tighten these. So there's really no way to evenly torque them. You got to just do your best. You're on your own with that. I'm not going to use no torque wrench. But another failure on these pumps is this plate. Now, I am sure what I did at the time when I put my camshaft in, I got this gasket right here and took these out and put another gasket in here. I'm almost sure I did. See the gasket in between here? I'm sure in my mind that I remember I had to do this because I had a leak. The thing leaked on this side of the gasket, okay? And I did the cheap route and just got a set of gaskets and put it in there. So, I'm sure it was probably the same one. Here, top, bottom. Here, we'll do this. We'll figure this out. That's the top. Okay, now on this particular engine, this bolt is not used. It is not used on my engine. Do not ask me why, what the year differences were. But that's about it. It's too long a video, but I'd rather give you enough info on this in case somebody's doing this in the future. If you ever come across 302 or anything. So that's it. Too much time spent on this subject. Thanks for watching. You can tell I changed this and put a Velcro on this plate on the old water pump. There is your evidence. The blue gasket. So I knew I was right. I'd had this off before.